Good. So it has been started now. Thank you so much for the cooperation again. Okay, let me share my screen and we'll move ahead now. Okay, let me just give you the brief idea about what we have done till now. In the first session, I had given you the brief idea about the entire syllabus, the logical flow of syllabus, the major areas of the financial management. Then in the second lecture, we moved towards the risk return trade-off in every financial decision making. Each and every financial decision from the perspective of the corporate or company is based on the risk return trade-off. And we have established that relationship in every sort of financial decision. Higher the risk, my dear friends, higher is the chances of return. Lower the risk, lower will be the return for sure. But it is a double-edged sword, you know. Higher the risk, higher the chances of return, but sir, higher the chances of losses as well if you couldn't identify your entry and exit points well. Now, when it comes to the shares, specifically, the risk is calculated with two parameters. Parameter number one is the volatility, which is also the standard deviation. We have seen that all those stocks which are deviating more from the mean value, in other language, I can say all those stocks which are having the higher volatility gives you the higher return in a longer period of time. If you identify the entry and exit points well, then it can give you the returns like anything. Number two parameter we have seen, my dear friends, was the sensitivity. We had demonstrated that each and every individual is differently sensitive to the same situation they are facing. If I am putting you under the same hot waters, everyone's reaction would be different. And to measure the sensitivity, my dear friends, we have the statistical parameter called beta. Now, we have understood the risk and return trade-off. Today, we'll think about the ultimate objective of the financial management, and I'll take you to some of the areas which are, the connecting dots between the financial management and analytics. Let me first of all tell to this all that, my friends, the kind of the scope that you have for the analytics in the finance is way, way higher than any other domain. The numerous data you generate on a daily basis for the stock prices, for the options, for the derivatives, the financial information of the company, financial statements of these companies. Thousands of companies are listed, thousands of companies are there for which the data is available. And the kind of the scope for the data wrangling, predicting the share prices and values, forecasting the future values, projecting the balance sheet figures for the upcoming years, extrapolating the historical trends. This everything is so much applicable, so much relevant to the finance that hardly such kind of a relevance you would be able to establish with any other domain. I'm not saying that the analytics is not there in any other domain, but the kind of a data which this finance domain gives, that is unmatched, unparalleled. Specifically, if I talk about the kind of the data which is being generated by the stock market on a daily basis, That's why business analytics cannot be separated from the finance now. In fact, earlier it was a luxury, now it's a need. If you do not know how to analyze the data well, you cannot survive in the finance. As simple as that. You cannot survive in the finance by your communicative and creative skills if you do not have the good understanding of the analytical ability. Each and every decision involves a lot of data, and we'll have to interpret the data well, take the data driven decision. Okay, that will be discussed later on in the great detail. Let me just move to this wealth maximization and the profit maximization. Now, I'm just asking the question to all of you. What could be the ultimate objective of doing this tremendous exercise of the financial management of the company? What can be the ultimate objective behind it? Can someone tell me? As per your opinion, what shall be the ultimate objective for doing this entire numerical exercise, managing the funds well and doing this exercises of the financial management? What could be the ultimate goal of this function? Mr. Lee is saying that it's about the profit maximization. Okay, any other objective possibly?
So can you repeat this question?
Yes, my question is that what could be the ultimate purpose of doing this entire financial management? We have seen the core areas of financial management. We have seen that what are the various financial decisions we take when we think from the perspective of the company. What could be the ultimate objective behind doing this tremendous amount of exercise?
Maximizing the
So to
overall
minimize the
wealth of
loss.
the organization.
One by one. Yes, Vaishnavi, please.
Maximizing the wealth of overall organization.
Maximizing the wealth of overall organization. How do you measure the wealth, Ms. Vaishali?
Sir, wealth considers does not consider only profit. It considers funds and whatever cash outflow, inflow, everything, investments
Okay,
and all.
okay. It also considers the fund. Okay. Ms. Hemal is saying to better utilize the funds available at the disposal of the business. Now, Mr. Jaydev wanted to say something. Jaydev, can you elaborate it further? You were saying something.
Yes, sir. How can we minimize the loss and how can we maximize our profits? That's the target.
True. So ultimately, minimizing the loss will take you to maximizing the profit, right? So here we take that maximization of the profit is going to be the ultimate goal of the financial management. Okay, Mr. Gaurav is saying that wealth creation. Now the thing is efficient allocation of the resources. Now, Mithas, you want to efficiently allocate any resources because ultimately in a longer period of time you want to generate the wealth, right? You do not want to waste the resources, you want to utilize it in an optimum manner. See, any function of the organization is working ultimately for creating the wealth. You take the HR function, you should manage your employees in a so and so manner. Why? Because then they will not be leaving your organization. So ultimately you are earning the profit out of it. You should pay your employees well because it's good for you for the longer period of time because they will not be dissatisfied. Understood. Now, we have got the two terms here. Some of the students have explicitly focused more on the profit maximization, and some of the students have focused more on the wealth creation. I know that there is a fundamental difference between the two. Can you elaborate it further? What is the difference between the profit and wealth? Ms. Vaishali has tried to explain it that, sir, it also considers the fund, which is partially correct, understood. It also considers your liquidity, the amount of money you gather right now. But still, it is not the absolute answer. There is a lot of scope involved over there. It is not the exact answer. What's the difference between wealth and profit?
Sir, wealth
Uh,
includes all the fixed as well as current assets of the organization.
Hmm. It includes everything you said. Okay, still partially correct.
Sir, maybe it can be said that profit is more concerned with the earning we are making in that particular duration of period, whereas wealth can be looked at in a long-term perspective, that the value of the firm or the position it holds in the market, wealth is more from a long-term perspective.
Okay, so wealth is basically the accumulation of the earning we say. Now see, the wealth of the company might not be the wealth of the share stakeholders, every stakeholder. That is also been agreed. No? See, some company might be extremely wealthy, but it might not be a wealth of the stakeholders because stakeholders might not be able to generate much of a wealth from the company. Now, I have got one answer from Mr. Mitesh, which is right in the direction. Is that wealth means the market value? Understood. Now, market value is something which is not decided by the company, that is decided by the normal public, that is decided by the people. So, see, anything which is democratically decided and democratically evaluated by the normal individual investors like us is something which tells about a wealth of the company. So do we have any parameter which can measure the wealth? So how you can measure the market value of any company? How you can measure the market value of any company? How the people are perceiving that company? You know how beautiful that brand is, how people are obsessed with that brand which is offered by the company. How do you calculate that value of market, that how much value that company is possessing in the market? Would anyone like to say something? How you can evaluate that value?
So
Do
it
we
is
have it?
basically on the shares
Absolutely, Mr. Jaydev. So it's
because it is
basically
traded in the uh, stock exchanges. So how many holdings are there on that basis? Its market value is there.
absolutely. So that's the point we are trying to reach out to. I'll explain you that why wealth means maximizing the value of the share. See, the company has formed the existence for the profit. No one can deny it. But the problem, my dear friends, with the profit is that it may indulge yourself into some of the activities which might not be very much good in the longer period of time. Profit is something which is situational in nature. Right now, temporarily, I want to earn the too much of earning and the profit, but for the longer period of time, that might not be the suitable policy for me. Wealth is something which conveys the longer time value of the company, and that is the market share. Now, Ms. Hemali is saying that by analyzing the profits and acquisition of the company over a long period of time. Yes, Ms. Hemali, understood what kind of a policies, what kind of a business expansion strategy is adopted by the company. But ultimately, you measure it by the market value of the company. And why market value is the best parameter to judge the wealth of the company. I'll coming to that point. So sharing my screen, and let's discuss few more points about this wealth maximization now. See, market value is something which is first of all derived by the public. It is not something which is decided by the company. Normal retail individual investors, institutional investors, the big investors, everyone can invest freely in the market. Now, this is something which derives the value from the interest of the people. If the interest of the people towards the company is high, it will get the good value. And if the interest of the people towards that company will not be good, it will get the less value. Now, each and every parameter you try to consider, no, say some people would be like, sir, we want to increase the market share of our product. Understood. Now, what is the next step of increasing the market share of the product? Ultimately, your sales in the region would be quite high as compared to your competitors because your market share is high, right? Now, ultimately, your profits would be high because your sales would be too high. You are reaching to the profit only again. Each and every parameter you take, some people would be like, sir, we want to increase the, the funds available with the company. Understood. Now you increase the funds, How you will be able to increase the funds? First of all, your selling prices and the cost prices must be decided in such a manner that company will be left with good amount of funds, right? So it's basically earning the profit first, and then you can gather that money and that is available in terms of funds to you. My dear friends, what I'm trying to convey is that each and every other objectives are vague, not absolute, and for the very short frame of time. The ultimate objective of any company should be of the wealth creation, and the wealth creation means increasing the market price of the company. You increase the wealth of the shareholders, that should be the ultimate goal of the financial management, and the wealth of the shareholders can be increased only if you increase the market price. That shall be the ultimate goal of the financial management. Now, some people would be like, then sir, don't you think so that to increase the market price of the shares, company may indulge itself into some unethical, immoral practices? Yes. But the chances of the company to indulge into the unethical and immoral practices for the profit maximization are quite higher as compared to the wealth maximization. If your objective is solely to earn the good amount of profit in the short frame of time, you may indulge yourself into unlawful practices, illegal activities, immoral activities which might be legal, unethical activities which might not be illegal, but they are unethical. Then what should be the best parameter to judge the value of the company, sir? Now, market price is the combination of each and everything, my dear friends. Mr. Adam Smith, you also call him as the father of the economics. In the free market economy, he stated that the prices of any company, the value of the anything should be decided by the market, then only it's the true value. If we will be taking our own parameters to value the company, this is something which is a bit authoritative in nature because we are deciding those parameters. It's not we should decide who should decide the wealth of the company. It's the people who should decide the wealth of the company. And if there would be a greater interest of the people, they would buy it. And if they would start buying your shares, obviously the market price will go up. If there will be a less interest, they would not be very much interested in your shares. The wealth will be going down. Now, market price also considers the profit. Profit is the one element of the market price. But market price is not just a one derivation of the profit. It includes the various other elements. Have you seen that if some of the companies are not treating their employees well, their market prices are going down? Yes. If some companies are indulging themselves into some unethical and immoral practices, the market price of the share is going down in the market. Yes. If the company is earning the too much of profit, but some litigations are initiated against the company, some cases are filed against the company, some lawsuits are filed against the company related to some of the matters of, the breaking of rules and regulations, the market price of the company will get the effect straight away, immediately. Market price is not just reactive, it is proactive too. It is not just reactive, it is proactive. Even before something goes wrong to the company, the market price gives you the hint before it. You would see that there would be a lack of interest among the people to buy that stock. If there would be a bit of a feeling in the market that the company is indulging itself into some of the unethical practices. So market price is the combination of various variables. It includes your profit, it includes your funds, it includes the kind of practices you have, it also includes your future potential. See, profit is something which gives you the idea only about the current market situation, yes or no, that what is the current earning you have. What about the future potential of the company? How you reflect the future potential of the company in any of the parameters? Which parameter is the best suited to explain the future potential of the company? Only the market price is best suitable one. Why? I'll tell you. Do you know what is the PE ratio of the Tesla stock right now? Let me just take you to the Excel file so that you get it in a better way. There is one ratio called PE ratio, price to earning ratio. Try to understand this ratio. I am taking to my point of wealth creation only, but I want to prove it by taking the various dimensions. So let me explain you something called PE ratio, which is also called as the price earning ratio. Now, sir, how do we calculate it? The price earning ratio is the market price of the share divided by EPS. EPS stands for earning per share. Now, this is basically the number of times your market price is to the EPS. So, earning per share is, say for example, 10 rupees, and the market price is, say for example, 200 rupees. So your PE multiple comes at 20. So your market price is 20 times of your earning per share, which is the historical indicator, because earning per share is something you have calculated by taking the historical figures. Might be of the current year, might be of the previous years. Yes, EPS of the current year will be calculated to get the PE ratio, which is the prevailing PE ratio. But current year as well is the historical figures of the current year, yes or no? Now, it is not reflecting the future potential of the company. So, this PE ratio is more, no? That tells you about the overvaluation of the company. And if the PE ratio is less, that tells you about the undervaluation of the company. Now, if say someone's PE ratio is 30, so what do you mean by the PE ratio 30? Say the earning per share is just 10, but market price would be 300. So the simple meaning of this 30 PE ratio is that here your earning per share is 10, but the market price is just 200. Here your earning per share earning is 10 rupees only, but still your market price is 300. So this 300 is the sign of overvaluation. That means market has overvalued that stock substantially higher than what it deserves. Then how do you evaluate what it deserves and what doesn't it deserve? You evaluate it by doing the comparative analysis, my dear friends. There is no absolute figure which tells you about which one is the overvaluation and which one is the undervaluation. I have given this example quite a few times that the poverty is relative in nature. In the similar manner, P ratio is the relative in nature. Some of the stocks might be trading at 10 P ratio. Some of the stocks might be trading at 40 P multiple, 50 P ratio.
Hello, sir.
Sorry, sir, interrupt to you, but your some disturbance in your voice, sir.
Oops. Oops. Okay, so I have taken off my earphone. Is it audible properly now?
Absolutely fine, sir.
Thank you so much. Now, can you just tell me the point you couldn't understand so I can repeat it further?
Did it happen only for a one time for 2-3 minutes, or it was continuous basis, the disturbance?
Sir, it was from last 2-3 minutes.
Okay. Okay. I have got one comment from Mr. Jaydev. I'll come to that comment, but let me just complete my point where I was. Okay, so here the P multiple is the sign of the overvaluation. Now, why anyone would be buying any stock at this P multiple as well, at 50 P multiple? Because right now the EPS might be low, but they are of the opinion that in the future, the earning per ratio will be quite high. And if the denominator will get increased, the P multiple will again get correction. Sometimes people buy the stock at the higher P multiple, even if the company is overvalued right now, because they have seen the future potential. Now, what could be the reason behind the future potential? They might be able to get the tremendous amount of market share in the future. They might have the possibility of the business expansion a lot. The kind of the structure and the CEOs and the management which company have might be unmatched, unparalleled, whatever the reason would be. But they have seen the future potential. But how you can evaluate the future potential if you just take the profit into account? No. Sometimes the Chandulal will be making the profit of 20 lakhs, but the Reliance Industries Limited is making the loss of, say, 50 crores. So on the profit basis, you may say that, sir, Chandulal is better than Reliance Industries Limited, but only the person of the financial acumen will come to know that no, Mr. Chandulal stands nowhere against the Reliance Industries Limited. The reasons behind making the profits and losses could be anything. Some of the profits might be very extraordinary in nature. Some of the firms might have got the contracts temporarily, and for the some period they were able to showcase a great amount of profits. But for a longer period of time, shareholders do not feel that this profit is going to survive in the upcoming years. Shareholders will start selling the shares. Even though the PE multiple would be too less, still people will sell the share because they do not see the future potential. So market price is basically, my friends, is the combination of each and everything. You go to any of the matters, any sort of a news, even if there would be some litigation initiated against the company, some lawsuits are filed against the company, market for price will get affected quickly. If there are some certain macroeconomic indicators that is getting changed, some budget policies which are getting changed by the government of India, some repo rate changes are being taken place. So market price is the combination of all these factors putting together. Market price also considers the profitability. Some people raise the concern about, liquidity. That's our fund. Company should have the good amount of funds. Now that is called as the liquidity. That how liquid fund companies are having. Market price considers the liquidity too. Market price considers the solvency too. When I say solvency, that means some of the companies might be too risky. They have taken too much of borrowings and loans. Now borrowings and loans is something which is again a fixed obligation in nature. Higher the fixed obligation, higher is the risk, because you will have to get this money anyhow, whether you earn the profit or not. So some companies might be profitability wise would be looking amazingly good, but solvency wise they are not looking good because they have taken too much of loans and borrowings. Market price includes that. Market price includes the laws and litigation. Say some of the litigations are initiated against the company. Now the result of the litigation will come after some period of time. Right now, there won't be any effect on the profit, right? The profit will not be reflecting the litigation right now. But this low end litigation, which might have the very adverse effect on the company in the future, the result, the judgment and outcome of it, then share price will get affected immediately. Company is not treating its employees well. Share price will get the reaction. Company is firing off the employees for so and so reasons. And if the investors are not convinced about the decision taken by the company, market price will get crashed. Company has initiated some research and development activity. Now the result of research and development activity are not seen immediately, because research is you get the outcome and the output of the research after a long period of time. But people have started being optimist on that company. The market price is up right now, even though the profits are not looking good right now. See, sometimes even if the profitability is not there, solvency is not so good, laws and litigations are not going in the favor, but their management and governance of the company is good, people will start investing in it. Charlie Munger, that was a statement given by him just yesterday. You may check it again in the Google. After Warren Buffett, you may put him as well, as you know, the master of investments. He has started investing in the General Motors company now, because he feels that the government, the governance and the management is right now in the right and capable hands. He is very much optimistic about the CEO of that company. Even though General Motor is right now showcasing the decreasing trend in the market share of the automobiles, General Motor is not something which is considered to be the best company when it comes to the future potential right now, but he is invested because he feels that the governance and management is in the right hands. The CEO is absolutely amazing right now. Now, whatever the reason could be, the market price is the reflection of every such combination, the reasons putting together. It is the combination of every aspect related to the company. That's why market price is the best parameter, to evaluate the wealth of the company. In a longer period of time, market price will only reflect the real value of the company. That is the primary assumption we take when we say the market price is the ultimate objective. Now, I said the wealth creation, not the market price. Then how did I relate it with the market price? See, the wealth of whom? The wealth of the owners of the company. Now, wealth of the owners of the company can be increased only if the per share value is increased. Otherwise, how the wealth of the owners of the company will get increased? So it's basically about increasing the market price of the company. Now, some of the students would be like, sir, how? Say some of the companies are, earning the good profits, but they are right now making the too much of damage to the environment. Ethically, it's not good. Environmentally, company is doing the lot of pollution. Now, please have a faith on the public at large. If the company is backward in nature, is making the great loss to the environment, the market price will get the effect of it, for sure. So you may just consider random parameter and variable. The market price is the combination of everything putting together. That's why it is the best parameter you have to evaluate the wealth of the company. And that shall be the ultimate objective of the financial management. Now let's see the various critics and the various supporting arguments behind this wealth management objective. So what the critics are saying, and what is the defense against them? Now, sometimes critics are saying that, sir, market price is something which displays, the myopic tendencies, often wrongly priced securities, and fails to reflect the long-term values. You may look at the highlighted portion on the left-hand side, the first critic. Sometimes the entire focus goes on the market price, and what happens is that the CEOs and everyone is just right now working towards the market price, the instant gain in the market price, and the long-term objectives would be forgotten. Possible, no? If you are judging the performance of the company based on the market price, then CEOs will become little fictitious towards the people because they do not want to reveal the information which might go against the company, might go against the market price. Now, what are the people saying in the defense of it? They are saying like, see, it's okay. I mean, you say that right now the securities are not priced well, understood. But see, in a longer period of time, people will understand that this company is indulging itself into the instant gratification. The kind of, the announcements they are making, they are not remaining up to the integrity. They are not remaining up to the words they have said. The market price in a longer period of time will get the correction. Yes, for a short frame of time, people might get attracted towards those exotic claims made by the company that we are going to do this, we are going to do that. लेकिन अगर उस बॉक्स के अंदर खाली खोखा निकलेगा तो investors will come to know about it in a long period of time and market price will again get the correction. So in a longer period of time, again, the market price is the good indicator. Some people are saying that, sir, the ultimate goal should be like, maximizing the satisfaction of the customer, minimizing the cost in relation to the competitors. I mean, the unit cost must be the least as compared to the competitors. You should try to increase the market share of the company in terms of product manufacturing and the distribution of the product. Understood, but ultimately, this everything will result into the good profits. And good profits are already been taken into account by the wealth. So wealth is already the combination of all these factors putting together. Some people are saying that the third argument, that you should try to strike the balance between the stakeholders. The stakeholders are not just the shareholders. The stakeholders includes the creditors. The stakeholders includes the suppliers. The stakeholder includes the customers, community, society at large. Understood. But my dear friends, don't you think so? That if you will be having the good relation with the stakeholders, then it would have the effect on the market price as well. What do you understand by having the good relationship with the suppliers? You would be able to get the supplies effectively, efficiently, even with the good amount of credit. Even when you will not have the good amount of money, if you have maintained the good relationship with the suppliers, you would get the goods. So ultimately, what will be the result of it? The result of it would be that for a longer period of time, company will be surviving. For a longer period of time, company will be growing further. And if the company will be growing further, again, the market price is something which is the best parameter to judge it. So there will be impact of the good relationship with every stakeholders on the market price again. So market price can also be considered as the good parameter. Yes, the profit might not be reflecting it, The profit might not be reflecting that how good you are treating your employees, but market price is reflecting that. Because investors are rational. We take into account the assumption that investors are rational in a long period of time. If you do not treat your employees well, you just try to get, the maximum work out of them, which is not obviously optimum. You try to take the maximum advantage of them, then there would be a higher labor turnover ratio. And if the higher labor turnover ratio, any rational investor will come to know that parameter and will check it, that there is a higher labor turnover ratio, which might be telling that something wrong might be happening with the company. Let's do not invest in that share. The share price will get the effect. So what we are trying to say is that market price is something which is the combination of every factors putting together. It considers the regulations, the sincerity of the company towards the laws and regulations. It considers the sincerity of the company towards the other stakeholders, might be creditors, might be the customers, might be the employees. It considers the profitability, it considers the solvency aspect, it considers the risk aspect, that how risky the operations of the companies are. It considers the liquidity aspect too, that whether the liquid funds are available with the company or not. So market price is the combination of each and every factors putting together. So that's why time and again various people have come out in support of this argument. You go to the 1999 annual report of the Reliance Industries Limited. The company with its largest investors base as follows. They have stated this thing in their in their annual report, that in everything that we do, we have only one supreme goal, that is to maximize your wealth as a members of the India's largest investor family. Mr. Anand Mahindra has also given the similar sort of a statement, that all of us are beginning to look at the companies as owned by stakeholders. The key is to raise stakeholders' returns. I can give you numerous examples where the companies have stated the similar objective. Hindalco again states that. Now see, some of the companies, like you take the Coal India, might be very profitable in nature, but why the prices of this traditional energy consuming companies are not going up right now? What could be the reason behind it? Because investors have understood that this is not going to be the energy source in the future. The coal as well as the other traditional sources of energy are going to obsolete in the upcoming time to come. The renewable energy is something which is going to shape up, which is going to contribute the major portion of the energy requirement of the country. And if the company will not adapt to the changes taking place in the environment, then company will be obsolete in some time to come. Company will be nullified. There will obviously be the impact on the market price. Why you are right now observing, you take some of the companies like Adani Power, Adani Green, those who have the higher portion of the renewable energy in their energy consumption, in their sales, their prices are overvalued. Their PE multiples are overvalued as compared to the other companies. Why? Because investors are optimistic, positive about the company, that company is right now thinking about the future. So even purchase it. You take Hindalco's statement as well. Hindalco is again a company, one of the largest manufacturer of the plastics in India. To relentlessly pursue the creation of superior shareholder value by exceeding customer expectations profitably, unleashing the employee potential, and being a responsible corporate citizen adhering to our values. That's the ultimate goal given by it. So what they want to do by doing this exercises, ultimately they want to create the superior shareholder value. By doing what? By exceeding the customer satisfactions. Now customer expectation and satisfaction can be achieved by adopting some of the product quality standards. So product quality standard is also taken into account when market price. Kumar Mangalam Birla, a chartered accountant, one of the highly recognized men. Though Birla Group has lost its significance in last couple of years, earlier the Birla Group was, quite near to the Tata Group, but the gap has increased recently. But still, I consider him as one of the highest men of ethics, one of the best person when it comes to ethics and morals. Even one of the committee that was established under the corporate governance by Securities and Exchange Board of India, that committee was headed by Kumar Mangalam Birla, because no one can question on his ethics and moral standards. He also said the same thing. The fundamental objective of the corporate governance is the enhancement of long-term shareholder value, while at the same time protecting the interest of other stakeholders. See, you will be protecting the interest of the other stakeholders, then only in a longer period of time, your share price will get the reflection of it. So now I can say, after proving it, that wealth maximization can be the best possible objective, because it is the measurable as well. Increase in market price is something which is quite measurable. It is not vague, it is not unclear, quite pretty much clear, pretty much understood by the people. It takes into account every variables into this. It is not situational in nature. Profit is situational in nature. You may have the profit of earning 1 lakh rupees in 1990, but 1990 is rupee denomination value is decreased a lot. Now the 1 lakh rupees of 1990 is somewhere around 20-35 lakhs rupees. So profit is something which is absolute in nature, and situation to situation it gets changed. But market price is something which also takes into account the situational factors. Profit is only limited for the one period. Market price is not limited only up to the one period. It is for the long period of time. It also considers the future potential of the company, future business expansion prospects of the company. So that's why it is the most superior objective we have. Is it clear? May I have the confirmation from the students, please? That why I'm saying the wealth creation should be the utmost goal of the financial management.
Yes, sir.
Good. So in the next session, we will go to some of the concepts of time value of money, as well as I'll also relate the financial management with the business analytics. So that's going to be the agenda of the next session. Please put your enrollment number as a mark of your attendance. That's it from my side. Oh my God, I'm really sorry I have taken up your break. I guess at 10:55 you again have a session. Really sorry for that. Due to this disturbances in the voice and everything, I just carried away. Please put your enrollment number. That's it from my side. Bye-bye. Take care. Sayonara. Enjoy the rest of the day. See you all in the next session.